But some of the key data points that I want to highlight that have shifted, and this is kind of exciting because the NASDAQ didn't even have this data themselves, 113 companies within the NASDAQ define board diversity as LGBTQ inclusive, which is about 2.4% of NASDAQ listed companies. Now 41 of the Fortune 1000 include board diversity that is LGBTQ inclusive, which is about 4.1% of companies in the Fortune 1000. 23 Fortune 500 companies now have LGBTQ inclusive board diversity. So that's up from 2, which is a pretty nice percentage increase, but a pretty small absolute increase. But really exciting momentum that we're seeing. I'd love you just to, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting, Todd, and gives me huge optimism. My impatience is still very live, but
good, mine too.
But yes, and part of this, I think, is that regulatory change. I think that's playing here, and thank you to everything you do on that lobbying and really making these things happen. But I also think it is what's happening in society as well. So it is this technical and the adaptive. And I think there's just more conversations about what is our culture and how far off our desired culture are we. So I'd like to think that a lot of this is coming from more sort of human-centric leadership and cultures as well as regulation. I think it's both. But we are seeing change. I think that we're seeing more curiosity, more movement in the companies and the statistics you're quoting, which are really exciting. But it's yet to convert into what I would say specs, spec for a board role. So the interest is there, the conversations are happening more, there's greater awareness, but we need that last bit of the conversion, which is proactively seeking LGBTQ candidates as board members. And that's still latent, I'd say, but emerging.
So let's talk about that impatience that we both have. How do we push that latency forward? I mean, we've got 1,600 leaders in our forum database that are literally raring to go. How do we get them into those specs?
Oh, well, I think the changes that you've already said are happening. So I think the hiring lags the intent and the commitment. So boards have to track those commitments that they're making. Same on sustainability, they have to track them. That is a board responsibility. And I think they have to ask the questions, the real questions about, do our people really feel that they belong here? Do they really feel included and supported? So I think boards have to get very curious on these topics. And what we're finding our colleagues are doing, much with your help, is having the confidence to broach the topic and talk about, how would you see this in terms of specs, and how do you want us to handle this in the search strategy? So I think those conversations are now happening, but they're still at the early stages. And I think we need the research, we need the changes being shouted about, and we need the personal stories.